Hey everybody, great to see you. I am back. I needed a little bit of time to catch my breath after that trip. I got back and I was just completely wiped out. I had no reserves left, was in a lot of pain, mentally just tired, and so I just needed to take it for myself. But it is Saturday and I'm gonna try to get these videos out to you guys as quickly as possible. I wanted to talk about Citibank today. Citibank is one of the big three. You got HSBC, Citibank, JP Morgan, and their move to ISO. And I found a document from earlier this year in 2023 about their roadmap and their rollout of ISO standards, ISO20022 standard to be exact, and what that's going to look like. First, let me just show you this too. This is current information. This was last week, but Citibank has hit a 10-year low in stock price. 10-year low in stock price, okay? Also, Citigroup starts layoff talks after management overhaul, sources say. In Citigroup, embarks on a sweeping reorganization. Support staff in compliance and risk management are among the most likely to lose their jobs, sources say close to the situation. Technology staff working on overlapping functions are also at risk of being laid off. So right now, one of the biggest banks in the world is getting ready to lay off people, right? Or is in the process. So your layoff focuses on support staff and technology staff, right? And then you look at their plans to migration for ISO, right? This is Treasury and Trade Solutions, ISO migration. This is March 27th. And this document's probably been put out a lot. I found it recently. I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd just read a couple lines to you and share this with you, and we can talk a little bit more about this. The ISO 20022 migration is an industry-wide transition to a unified standard for financial messaging. Currently, institutions, market infrastructures, and market participants use a variety of standards when exchanging messages that facilitate funds transfers and cross-border payments. Also, clearing and settlement and securities transactions, other reporting, and all other types of financial activities. So basically everything. You got funds transfers, you got cross-border payments, clearing and settlement, you got any kind of clearing and settlement of securities. Of course, all that comes with reporting when you're buying and selling securities and moving money around, and all other types of financial activities. So you're talking about the mother lode, right? You're talking about everything here. This plurality of standards leads to inefficiencies, barriers to automation, and challenges for global interconnectivity. The ISO 20022 aims to address these challenges by establishing a worldwide standard for communication. You take a look at who is leading ISO migration. The ISO migration is a community-driven initiative. That standard development process is managed by the International Organization of Standards, the ISO. I'm going to do a video after this one about the ISO and all the countries that are involved, and just try to catch you up. Maybe you're new to the crypto space and you don't know this information, so it's good to understand it, where we are, where we're going, where we're going to be here in November. SWIFT plays an important role in ISO Registration Authority, RA, effectively acting as a custodian of the ISO 20022 financial repository and managing the standards of the financial messaging models. SWIFT is also coordinating the development of the CBPR Plus and the HVPS specifications. These message specifications define the implementation of the ISO standard for cross-border payments and market infrastructures, respectively. It says, is SWIFT retiring MT messages on its own network? Beginning in March 2023, SWIFT will support both ISO messages over FIN Plus and MT formats over SwiftNet. SWIFT plans to decommission MT messages category 1, 2, and 9 by 2020. And in that video, I'm going to show you what 1, 2, and 9 are. I can't remember off the top of my head what 1, 2, and 9 are. I do apologize. I think 9 is cash management and reporting. Yeah. Nice. You can just search like what's category 1, 2, and 9, but so this is cash management is what they're retiring here. And I'm sure there's going to be other things that kind of pop up for the timeline. But what I thought was interesting is Citi's one of the biggest banks in the world, and if they're going through these challenges, that means other banks below them or other banks that are competing against them are going through these same type of challenges, right? You have parts of the Eurozone already entering into recession. I do believe the U.S. is not going to be far behind here. I think I'm not going to get into that, but I do think the U.S. has a lot to worry about. We have this $1.5 trillion worth of these business loans. Most of these are like balloon type payment loans where you're just paying interest, and at the end, you're either refinancing and kicking that can down the road, or you have to come up with the cash. In most of these buildings, these major cities, San Francisco, San Diego, Washington, D.C., or all over the United States, a lot of these buildings are underwater, and you don't have tenants wanting to pay rent at some of these crazy numbers. And think about it, if you just redid this loan or whatever 5 years ago, you're paying, 0.5%, 1%, depending on where you're getting your money from. But money was cheap back then, let's not forget. And now you're paying 7-8%. You're looking minimum 2, 3, 4, 5x maybe what your old payment was to your new payment, and that is going to cripple some businesses and some companies. And then that all that value, right? All these loans, 70% of these loans are at regional smaller banks. So they're going to take big hits, big hits. So that is what I'm really focused on right now. I know Michael Burry has shorted the stock market. I think it was like $1.6 billion. He looks at the numbers, and that guy's usually right. And you look back at 2008 and what he was able to call when everyone else was looking one way, he was going to see how it was. And if it wasn't for AI right now and what's going on in Ukraine, I think the U.S. probably would have entered into a recession already. I don't think the stock market would have been rallying as hard. I think a lot of these machines are looking to sell their positions and go short. And the stock market starts turning around pretty hard. I can definitely see the rest of the U.S. market not looking so hard, right? We have some bigger car manufacturers in the U.S. Some of these guys are on strike right now, trying to get higher wages. When you have the heads of the company making 1,000, 2,000x what an average employee is, it does make you a little sick, right? When these are the people that are showing up working 12-hour days in sometimes in not good conditions. I grew up in the car business. I have family that worked in factories and things like that. I know what it's like to have someone come home and talk about what their day was like. And it's not easy for these people. And so if you're one of those people that get up and you put 12 hours a day in and you're at a job and you don't feel like you're respected and well loved, I hope you're able to find something better for your heart soon. And I hope that's the reason why I'm in crypto. And that's why I'm passionate about it, because I think this is showing me the keys and the way to the future and what I need to be doing with my life. And also, I just want to be able to share information with regular people like you and see what we can do about not only sharing this information, but trying to get it in the hands of as many people as we can so we can change our lives. We don't maybe have to go to those 12-hour-a-day work jobs, and maybe you can spend that time with your family or chasing a hobby you love. That's the real reason that I do this, right? I want to get the information out. I'll leave the link down to the Swift document. It's a pretty fun document just to go through. You have their financial market migrations timelines here. So this is actually pretty cool. Market infrastructure, ISO migration timelines. You have basically North America, US, chips, because Canada's the link system. Singapore, this is their new system too. This is Canada's new instant payment system. So they've 2023 green light, Swift green light, right? And then you have this coexistence period. This is where the period ends. Eurozone and T2, right? All ready to go. Enhanced ISO, chaps, Ukraine's on here. South Africa, enhanced ISO is live. Nigeria, enhanced ISO. Okay. And then you're going to be waiting the United States. Now, if the U.S. goes into a huge banking crisis, or if some of that information that I was telling you about hits the banks really hard and they're not able to adapt, and you're going to see rates dropping and you might see money printing. Going into an election year, I wouldn't put past any of them, to be honest with you. So we need to be on our toes about what's going to happen over the next couple months. I know Ripple's got a big event on September 29th, and a lot of people are guesstimating or thinking what it could be. Well, it's one of 3 or 4 things. One, it's a party just to say thank you for all the support that people like you and people like me that have been doing the last couple of years supporting Ripple through this fight. 2, it could be like IPO celebration where they're going to announce they're going to IPO. It could be something like they could announce some type of settlement with the SEC mixed in with the IPO. Or it could just be a party, right? And I think a lot of people are trying to fill out what exactly it is. But what I call it is progress, right? We're moving towards a common goal here. And we know the SEC is wrong on so many levels of what they're trying to do. And I think they're being called down on a much wider range in these days than like last year, let's say. You have more people in Congress, more Republicans, some Democrats calling for Gary's either resignation or his removal. We're going to see how this all plays out. It is going to be a slow process, as we don't want it to be, but we are still in a speculation market. Until we have G20 global regulation and until we have that Basel framework updated, we're still going to be in a speculation market, right? We're not going to be in that utility market just yet. But that utility market is coming. And when it does get here, we do need to be prepared for it. All right. And if you need help getting prepared for it, understanding learning TA, understanding really good projects, how to research, how to learn, Cryptonaires is a great community, guys. We used to charge $100 a month. Now it's down to $50. Link down in the description to our new website and MEXC, where you can sign up to our Discord, or you can become a super subscriber on the channel. I think it's like $15 a month right now, and you get access to all my Sensei chats, which is hours, tens of hours a week on research. Just goes into the one or two chats a week that I do. So I end up doing 2 chats Tuesdays and Fridays. They're about an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes, and I go over 80 to 100 pieces of crypto news globally, regulation, CBDCs, what project was working on what. We go through a lot of just information, and it's a great way to bring you from maybe a new person, a beginning, even someone that's maybe moderate in the crypto space that maybe doesn't know a lot of this stuff. But I go through a lot of information really quickly. And when you have questions and you need help, I'll be there to help you. And so we have a great community there too. Also, just to finish this off, Singapore, Australia, right? Yeah, coexistence. New Zealand, Thailand, enhanced ISO, ready to go. Hong Kong, chats, right? Q4 2024. So the next couple of years will be interesting, right? Just because we're migrating to these new messages does not mean these banks will start using crypto, but it does put pressure on them. And what I mean by that is, well, when one bank can start using it, what happens to the other banks, right? If you're a big bank and you're paying 1%, 2%, 3% to move money, and this new system is here, and you can change to this new system and pay pennies and have instant settlement and all these really new cool things that you've always wanted, right? It's like you're driving around and then like in the 1980s Mercedes Benz, and you're still paying like $1,000 a month, and you're like driving into the dealership and they're like, oh man, can I get that? How much is that new car worth? The new car is like $800 a month, and you're like, why am I paying $1,000 a month when I can have a brand new car for $800, right? I hope I explained that analogy pretty correctly, or maybe I screwed it up. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying, right? You want the new hotness, right? You want the new stereo, you want the suspension, whatever it is, whatever your hot button is on that car, that's what you want, and that's what the bank wants. It's the same thing, right? They see new technology and they get thirsty.
And some really smart people.
This is from Cyprus to Monaco. This doesn't wake you up. I don't know what else will. Gonna confirm by Citi what their financial infrastructure is being removed and replaced. Check us out.
And some really smart people were on a panel with me from other banks there. There's a lot of people employed in this space who because banks are really serious about this. We have to, we're told to by our regulator. We're going to have to enable our customers to hold, send and receive central bank digital currencies. Our customers want digital representation of art, of assets, of securities, of funds.
So he's talking about tokenizing value, right? Art, real estate, bringing that tokenized twin onto a certain layer 1 blockchain, right? Whatever that may be. That's what he's talking about there. That's what their customers want.
It's going in this direction.
So that gentleman that you just heard speaking was a representative from Citibank. And I want to show you all something that your average influencer is not going to show you. Shout out to the CyberX research team for sharing these documents in our private CyberX chat. But let me get your brains thinking for just 1 second. So let's just take a second and look at this pyramid chart as to who controls the world. And let's pay attention to where government and politicians sit down here at the bottom of the spectrum. And let's take a look at where the bankers in the financial world sits all the way up here. So take into consideration what that gentleman from Citi just told you all, that banking institutions are for a fact interested. Now let's go over to a document from Citi titled Security Services Evolution 3. And we're going to scroll down here to the bottom of the document via the conclusion. And what does it say right here? In the coming 5 years, we'll bring massive amounts of change to our industry. Settlement cycles will continue to shorten in more markets. Distributed ledger technology will be used not to experiment, but to deliver. Funding mechanisms will evolve into digital cash, and core banking systems across the industry will be removed and replaced. Do you all freaking...
All right. We don't need an extra 20, 30 seconds of I told you, but it's coming, right? And every day we inch a little bit closer to whatever these banks are going to have to be forced into. They know they have to honor and use and offer better services, cheaper prices, level the playing field, as everyone's using that now. I'm seeing everyone use that now. So Brad Garlinghouse is really setting the standard, or Chris Larson did for that saying. But when is the date? Is that November? Does that stuff start happening November 19th when SWIFT moves over to this coexistence period? I don't know. But sooner or later, banks are going to start using this technology. And sooner or later, it's going to put other banks on notice, right? Because if they're not using that new sweet technology that's actually saving them money, offering better services, they're going to start losing clients. And when they start losing clients, they're going to rush to adopt whatever the other banks are offering because they have to. Because now you're at a point of trying to actually stay relevant as a bank. All right, guys, I know this was a little bit of a long one. I hope you made it through. If you did make it to the end, please let me know. I'll be getting back to all my comments and everything else now that I'm back in motion. I hope you are all well. Thank you guys so much for being here and spending time with me. Appreciate you. Bye.